Sorry about that.
Dumped 100 people live on
I just dumped 100 people. Yeah, I did. All right, so sorry about that.
Hi, Ed, you're back. Thanks for joining us today, Ed. We appreciate you. And Rory.
So hang on, let me try and fix this. We'll recover here in just a second. It's no kidding a live show. Where's Dan? Here comes Dan again.
Oh, here, I'll work on the room. I'll work on the room here.
Make a co-host. There we go. That's up, and let me start pinning folks again. Spotlight for everyone. There we go. David, if you can go ahead and just pin us back up here. Hello, this time really welcome to WaveTalkers Live, part 2. I'm Chris Mattia, and today we're going to be doing our coffee bar episode, which is a Q&A session. If you have any questions, we'll show you where the link is here in just a few minutes. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We're apparently new at this. It's only episode number 62, and we completely screwed all that up. So there we are. So let me uncheck that box. I think we are mostly recovered. Let me advance one slide. Oh, I'm joined today by my two co-hosts, esteemed colleagues, David, W0DHG, and Dan, NR6V. And today's first, let's see. Give me just a second here. I realize I'm like way
nothing like an easy episode, right?
It's totally supposed to be the easy episode, right? Where we just we take questions and we help folks, and somewhere is
do I dare to unmute?
Oh, you should, Dan.
This one right here. That's what I'm looking for.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, I do.
I do.
I know what happened. Somebody pushed the wrong button at the right
time. Somebody pushed the wrong button and dumped the entire local audience and turned
bye-bye.
These things happen, though.
Somebody wanted to know from the chat room who pushed the button. I'll give you one guess.
It was me.
That guy.
I was trying to figure out how I was causing the feedback, and
no, it wasn't you. No, it wasn't you.
Many web browser windows open, and so created feedback and all kind of problems and all that stuff. Okay.
I thought it was the 70s again.
For those of you asking in the chat room, the question of the day next to Chris's head is, what topic would you like us to cover on a future show? So if you have a moment while Chris is trying to figure out what we're doing today, go ahead and check yourself in.
Thanks, David.
Oh, I'm here to help.
Thanks, I appreciate it. You want to explain about the check-in process while I
no, I do not.
My browser?
I'm not ready for that. Okay, so if you want to check in, let me see if I may actually be able to make this happen. I'm not really sure.
Let's see.
If you want to check in, I have no idea what I'm showing right now.
You're showing system device properties.
Okay, sorry.
I think I'm back. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Go ahead and let me replace Spotlight for me, or you can unshare your screen and
find the control panel.
Wow, this is a complete like snafu here.
There you are. Back to you, Chris.
There I am. Let's unpin you guys.
I got that part.
Sweet. All right, so send us a WinLink check-in. Use the standard WinLink check-in form. Send it to all three of us, W0DHG, NR6V, W6AH, and our tactical call sign WaveTalkers. Let us know what topic you would like us to cover on a future show. Let's walk through that process together. We're going to go over here to the walk-up, and if the demo gods are with me, this comes off and that goes on. And then I slide down into the corner, and it's like magic. There we go. All right, so if you've got access to WinLink, go ahead and fire up your copy of WinLink Express. Come over here to the left-hand side, click on the little new message button, and then up at the top where it says select template, go ahead and click on that. Then the template manager should open. Give the standard template version a click. That should open this up. Then let's go down to the general forms. Go ahead and click the plus sign on that, and then down here where it says WinLink check-in, that's the one you're looking for. Go ahead and give that a double click. And if you're if the demo gods are with you, because they're clearly not with me today, go ahead and fill in your WinLink check-in. Make sure you click on the date and time field so it sets the current date and time right there. This is an exercise. You can let us know which band and mode you're connecting. This is where you put all of our call signs. Just separate those with a semicolon. We'll go ahead and put that in the chat so it's easier for the folks in the live audience to be able to do that. Fill out the rest of the top of this. Down here in the comment section, that's where you're going to let us know what topic you would like us to cover on a future show. When you're finished filling all that out, click the submit button. You'll get a couple little drop downs at the top. Just go ahead and click OK for those. That should populate all the information in your WinLink message. Hit the post to outbox button. Then, since WinLink is much more like a manual transmission than an automatic transmission, make sure you have the mode that you're going to send your message in with selected. Click the open session button. Hit the start button. I know that's a lot of steps. And there we go. We've got messages coming in.
Wow.
Flooding in from all over the world. At the end of the show, we will go ahead and check in on those and see where those messages are coming in from. So with that, let me click this here so I can rearrange. As those are coming in, we'll go back over to the slides. Let's see if we click. All right. So the way this works for a coffee bar episode, normally these are the easy episodes for us where we just take questions and answers that are coming in that are submitted from all of you. Apparently, I didn't read the script this morning because I didn't have everything together. So here's how this is going to work. If you have a question you would like us to try and answer, go to cq.wavetalkers.com/coffee bar. It's a really short little form. Go ahead and fill that out and let us know what questions that you have. These are ideally WinLink, MCOM, and or ham radio related. We'll do our best to answer them and take them as they go. And we've got a shared spreadsheet here so we can see all of the questions that are coming in, and we'll just go through them as best we can. Let's start off. Let me I'm going to pull myself back into this mode, and we'll bring the guys back up to screen so that add spotlight. Whoops.
That was scary.
There we go. And let's start off. We have a question that came in from Kathy, and this one's going to go to David because he's way better prepared today than I am. And it says, can you please give more information about how to use WinLink to send a text message to a cell phone?
I can do that.
Excellent.
Or like, well, let's say I'll try.
You try. Do your best.
I will try. All right.
And, you're going to share your screen, so it doesn't matter where we're at.
Did I? It is, right?
We got you.
We're seeing WinLink questions coming in.
Awesome. Okay, so once this is done getting all this awesome traffic. Okay, so if you want to send a text message via your WinLink, you can totally do that, but it is not part of the standard package. So you have to go to the winlink.org website, which is a cornucopia of wonderful information. And you'll have to navigate to the contents and the forms not standard library download process instructions. And what I'll tell you is the trick that Dan told me is if you want to find these, just go to Google and Google WinLink non-standard forms, because otherwise I have no idea how to tell you to find this. We will post the URL in the chat later on. And you want to do is scroll on down here and find the general forms. And in the general forms, there's a form that's called send SMS message. Ta-da! Something just crashed in here. I think I'm safe. Sorry. Click on that. You'll want to download the form. You'll want to open the file, and you'll want to extract it to your WinLink folder. And Farmers Express. And I'm going to put mine in the standard templates with the general forms. That's where I want to find mine. You should put it wherever it is that you want to put it. And we'll extract those two files there. And then if you go back to your WinLink Express, close the wrong file, you will find eventually if you go to create a new message, that when you select your template, your standard forms and the general forms, or wherever you decided to extract that file, you'll have a message form that's called send SMS test message. And we'll go ahead and go through that process right now. So this is how you'll send that message. You'll want to pick a cell phone number, and that'll be mine. And the carrier that supports that cell phone, that'll be this one. And you're going to add it. And you could add multiple. If you wanted lots of people to get your message, you could add multiple ones there. And a subject. And then your message. And once you're done writing your message out here, you'll go ahead and submit your form. Uh-oh. And it's going to always warn you, just like any other form, that, hey, yes, you did do this part, but you have to do the other part too. So I'll say, okay. And I'm going to get rid of my browser window. And look, I have this fully completed form now that shows you essentially what the email message is to my cell phone. And please don't blow my cell phone up, folks. And the subject that you created, and then the content in the message. And if you want to send the message, all you got to do is post this to your outbox. And of course, no message is actually sent until you go through and complete a session. And I know when I try to complete my session now, I will be not only sending a message, but I'm going to be probably receiving all of your check-ins that I hadn't already received. And then moments later,
Da-da-da.
you'll see that I'll receive a message on my cell phone.
While you're waiting for that, David, one thing, just as a warning, if you put that form in your standard forms folder like David did, it will be erased next time you update standard forms. So if you want to hold on to that for later use, you might want to put it in either the global folder or your call sign folder, because those don't get overwritten.
Good point. And presto, except you can't see it. Let's see if I try the other camera here.
Yeah.
Maybe this camera has better light. No, I know what it
Oh,
is.
almost saw it at that.
The
At one
product
point.
camera has the better.
Pull down a little more. There's the message.
There it is. And
We can confirm.
I received the message via SMS. FirstNet has been a little spotty. It's better now than it was when they first implemented the form, because I think they figured out that stuff. But look, I got a message. Woohoo!
Very cool.
That's it. One
Awesome.
done, and how many more to go, Chris?
A bunch.
Woo-hoo!
So the next question, if you can go ahead and pull you guys down. The next question comes in from Steven, KK6 ZJC. He asks, how do you show the data from a pin on a map so it shows in the JPEG? That's a great question. And thank you very much, Stephen, for bringing that
Chris,
up.
can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, sure. The question is, I'm going to bring myself down into the corner. The question is, how do you show the data from a pin on a map? So we're mapping data from check-ins or from field situation reports. We're mapping it inside a WinLink. And he wants to know, how do you show the data from a particular pin? How do you show that on the map? And let me just bring this up and see if I can walk through this, because it's actually not as easy as one would kind of hope it would be. So, first of all, I've got my WinLink up. I'm going to click on the little globe icon that's here, and that's going to bring up my ability to map some number of either forms or check-ins. Here's select from. There's a drop-down menu, and there's a variety of different forms that you have to have received the form for it to be able to be mappable. But I'm going to say the WinLink check-in form here, and I'm going to click the display map. And so right now I'm zoomed in on New Zealand, and here is a pin coming in And if I just roll over this, I can see that the sender, this is Terry, ZL1HOG, has sent in a check-in, and it's appearing on the map. And that's working really good. The question Steven's asking, though, is up here in the toolbar, there's a save as JPEG option. And we had everyone taking the workshop build a map and send us information from that. So you can click the save as JPEG option, and you can save out this screen of the map. So you could like send it into the EOC, or maybe you're at the EOC and you need to be able to embed this in a PowerPoint presentation or something like that. And I see there's a note about the live stream.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Chris.
Is it working again? Okay. Good.
Apparently.
Okay.
I looked and it's okay.
It's looking good. Okay, good. So this will just save an image, but if you just do this, let me do browse, and I'm going to call this I'm going to save it to my desktop, and I'm going to call it the live demo, and hit save, and hit save again. Say okay. If I minimize all of this stuff, actually, instead of minimizing it, let me close it. Close that, minimize this. I should have, here's live demo. And if I just double click it, this is a JPEG file, and it's just got that map. But how do you get that little data that appears inside of that little pop-up? Well, you can't very easily, but let me show you a trick on how to do that. So let me go back into WinLink Express, and I'm going to click the map again. I'll just bring the display of it back up. And rather than blow it out to full screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to the start menu, and we're going to use a utility that's built into Windows called the snipping tool. So I'm just going to start typing in snipping, SNIPPING, and it's right there, the snipping tool. Go ahead and click on that. And it opens up this little tiny utility that's built into Windows, and it's used for taking pictures of the screen. You can click this little drop down here, and you can take a variety of different types of images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over to my map, and instead of just hovering over it, I'm going to click on the pin so it brings up the little floaty pin. And I'm just going to make this screen just a little bit bigger. Oops. Let me make this screen just a little bigger so we can see the map. We'll use the right click button and kind of drag over. I'll click on the pin to bring it up. Now we can come back over here. We can use the snipping tool, and we can use the rectangular mode. Click on that. And now what this is going to allow us to do is actually click new on snipping, and it's saying, okay, draw a rectangle. So I'm just going to click and drag a little rectangle around the map with that pin data that's there. And now if I go back to my snipping tool, there is now a picture that has the pop-up with the data embedded in it, and we can save that to some location. We could save it, say, onto our desktop or wherever, and then send that in as a way to use it. This snipping tool is incredibly helpful. It's just part of Windows, and it allows you to grab whatever type of a screenshot. You can use that rectangular tool. You can grab a screenshot of a whole window. This is really helpful if you're working with some other folks to be able to share information. If you're working on a Mac and you're using the built-in kind of, or you're using like Parallels or something like that, you can press Command-Shift-3 on your keyboard in order to take a screenshot, and that'll save it directly to your desktop. A little bit easier there, but on Windows, that snipping tool is really, really nice.
Hey, Chris, a question came in from the chat. When you brought up the window, the white text box, was it a single click or a double click on the pin?
Double click on the pin.
Double click on the pin. Okay.
Yeah. So if I click, let me close this snipping tool here. I'll close this. So if you just single click on it, actually, no, it's a single click. You just single click. If you hover, if I just hover my mouse over the pin, it brings that little black pop up and it shows some of the data. But if you click on the pin,
wait, go back and hover again, and then right click.
Hover again and right.
Then you get options.
Oh,
then you can copy the reports to the clipboard.
Sneaky.
Yeah, it's right there on the window.
But does that cover
Find
just
manual.
the report or the
I don't know. Let's find out, Chris.
The
Copy it to the clipboard.
Copy to the clipboard. Okay.
Now open up your
So the WinLink
clipboard.
check-in from Terry has been copied to the
Type.
clipboard.
So do notebook. No, do notepad.
Note. No, not.
You gotta spell it right.
I gotta be able to type.
Notepad. That's the new app.
No, not that pad. That one.
There, that one.
There you go.
And now paste Control V.
Look.
And it
the
puts
report.
data from that report. So that's a nice way to grab that data too.
Yeah. Actually, it's nice because there's comments and everything in there.
Right. That's very awesome. Okay, so that's another question down. And since we were picking on Terry with that question, he sent in a question as well. And his is can you show UTC on your notification emails, please? Yes, we'll start putting our times for our shows and everything also in UTC as well as local Pacific time. Because yeah, we do this weird like shifting the time thing around in the
but that involves math.
That is definitely confusing.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be totally confusing for me.
Let's go to Dan for the next question. Somebody asks, how can an Arden mesh network, this is from Kilo Mike 6 Uniform Radio Papa, how can an Arden mesh network be used to send a WinLink message? Dan, let's go to you for that one.
Okay. Let's see here. You see my WinLink screen?
Yup.
Yes.
Okay, now I am not connected to a mesh network, so I can only go through this process partially, but we'll get you started. Basically, in WinLink, you want to go to your session window, and you want to go all the way to the bottom to Telnet Post Office and open your session. And what you need to do is up here, it says Add Server. You want to click on that. Update Arden Mesh Node List. You click on that. And then Update Mesh Nodes. Now, I get an error message because I'm not on the mesh. But if you were on the mesh, you would get a list of available post office links. And you want to pick one as close as possible to you. Once you've done that, you just exit and start a session, and you'll connect to that post office, and you can send your mail that way. It's
you
really.
Do you want me to show them what it looks like? Because I actually have a couple that are set up.
Oh yeah.
I can't actually. I'm not sure I can actually make the connection because my Arden's offline, but I can show you what it would actually look like.
Oh no.
Love that. Love that.
Oh, it's very weird.
70s are coming back to me.
So as Dan was saying, when you want to go into the session, you go down here, you find your Telnet post office, open up
I'm
this.
not seeing you, David. Hold on one second.
Can you see me?
Yeah, pin him.
Yep.
Oh, you got to pin me.
There you go.
Oh, I got to do this all over again?
Yeah, we're not seeing your screen.
It's all good. Okay. Sigh. Here we go. One more time. So, can you see me now?
We can.
Now, what you're going to do here is open up your client, and you're going to go over to the open session list. You're going to pick Telnet Post Office, like Dan showed you, and you'll open your session. Now, because I have some configured, when you get multiples configured, you're going to have a whole bunch of different options here. And this is what it'll look like when you go to configure them. They'll save in your list, and you can try to make the connection. Actually, this is one that might not be up right now. Yep, I don't think it's up right now, but that's what it would look like. You'd have the drop-down list, and you'd have a number of different mesh gateways if you were actually connected to the mesh or to the Arden mesh, and then you could select from those. And essentially what you do is, let me see if I can get in to configure one of them. Oh, that's, yeah. At this point, I can't do it. And Oliver's gateway is offline right now. Unless I was connected, the other ones are all mesh network. So it's not going to connect. But that's what it would look like if you had them configured. So essentially what you do is go in here, pick one, and make the connection.
And we put on the WaveTalkers resources WinLink page a link to Orv Beach's excellent document on how to do all of this. So
Back to you, Chris.
You can download it and follow his instructions.
Cool, thank you. So the next question came in from Midge, Whiskey 6 Lima India Kilo. And Midge asks, in WinLink, if you move emails to the deleted messages section, will they be considered or counted in your 309 form if the dates are correct for your inquiry? Wow, boy, is that a loaded question. That's got a lot of little pieces in there. So this is coming out of week 3 of our current workshop. So let me kind of walk through this a little bit. So the ICS 309 is a communications log that operators will keep track of, and they'll submit at the end of an exercise. And one of the things we had all of our workshop participants do is generate a 309 from the start of the workshop until they complete their week 3 homework assignment. And if you go in the form section, I'll just open up a new message here, go to select template. Here in the standard templates, click the little plus sign next to that. Down here, if you click the plus next to the ICS forms, there's a whole variety. I think there's about 16 of them that are in here, forms that are available, including the ICS 309 communications log. I'll just double click that to bring it up. And this is one that you could go in and you could enter in all of the data for all of your communications. However, if you're the WinLink operator and you want to generate your 309 report, it's way, way easier. You don't actually have to go into this form at all. I'll go ahead and close that. I'm going to minimize my browser here, and I'm going to close this message altogether, because if you come up here in your main WinLink folder, your main WinLink application, go to the messages drop-down menu, and about 3/4 of the way down, there's an item here that says generate ICS 309 communications log. And if you click on that, it brings up a little window. And what this is going to do is at the top, you select which mailboxes you would like to pull from. You select then the date range and time. So this would be like the incident date time range that is in here that you want to have a communications log for. You can say how you want the pages to be laid out, and then some basic information about the incident that you need to have attached to your form, just at the output file where you want to save it. And you click the generate a PDF button, and bam, WinLink just does it for you. It will track all of the messages that have come through your WinLink account according to whatever you have selected up here, and it just generates that form for you. It's really awesome. It's a really cool thing. I encourage everybody to go in and give this a try. All right, so that's the kind of background of this. So now back to Midge's question. She's asking if in WinLink, if you move emails to a deleted section, so over here at the, let me close this. If you have a message and you, in the move to, you can click the drop down here and you can move a message to a particular location, including your deleted items folder. So like in case you don't want to have that anymore before it kind of goes away. So if you move it into that deleted, will it still show up in your communications log? All right, that's the question. Let me go back into that generate ICS 309 form. And yes, you can, because up here, because it doesn't actually get deleted when it goes into that deleted items, it's kind of hanging there for a while. You can check the box here for deleted, and then it will look in that folder as well to pull those messages. Now, if you've completely removed it from the deleted, yeah, it's gone. It won't pull that. Likewise, you can also pull messages into this report if you've moved them into a personal folder. So here I can select, say, I just operated last week. I did the Ventura Marathon. Maybe I want to pull my report from there. I can select that and check the box. And so it will pull messages that meet this date and time range from all of these locations. And just to kind of show what that would look like, let me go ahead and generate one of these, although I'm going to set the date back a couple of days to there. Generate the ICS 309 PDF. It generated it, and it's called ICS 309 PDF. It should be on my desktop. I'll exit, I'll minimize. Here's my ICS 309. I'll double click it, and there's all the traffic. That form, that 309 was just generated for me for all of the traffic that's been sent through my account just in the past couple days. So really cool thing. Great question. Thanks a lot, Midge, for that. Let's go over to David for the next question. This one came in from John KC5 Lima Alpha Alpha. And John's asking, please discuss the use of tactical call signs, multiple go boxes with the same basic call sign. A lot of you have noticed that on the shows, we're having people send your check-ins to not just our individual call signs, but also a tactical call sign of WaveTalkers. So David, maybe you can talk a little bit about tactical call signs, how they work with that. Yeah, you're on mute still. Apparently it's the show that just, everything is just going weird. I'm not getting.
So every week when we have you do your weekly check-ins, we have you send a check-in to my call and Dan's call and Chris's call, but we also have you send a message to our tactical call, WaveTalkers. Well, what's a tactical call? Well, it's a call that you kind of make up and you register with the WinLink folks, so they'll let you do that. And it allows you to send mail to a, let's call it a generic name, because it's not somebody's call sign, and everybody's call sign is unique, obviously. The benefit, the strengths of having a tactical call is you can set it up here in your WinLink setup, and you can see I have a couple of them set up right now. As you can see, I don't have the WaveTalker set up there. That all goes to Chris. Chris gets to deal with all the WaveTalkers mail. He gets double the fun. But what you can do is set up a tactical call, and it does require a password, and you can share that password with several different operators, and they can put in their client that tactical call. And what it does is it'll allow you to receive emails to that same address. Say we're supporting a disaster, and I'm on for 6 hours at a specific hospital, and then 6 hours, the next 6 hours is Chris, and the next 6 hours is Dan. The tactical call for our hospital is hospital 1, because we don't want anybody who's sending message to hospital 1 to have to know, well, who's on right now? Is it David? Is it Dan? Is it Chris? Is it somebody else? We just want them to know if they need to get the message there, they need to send it to the hospital 1. So you can go in there and say, hey, I'm going to add an entry of hospital 1, right? I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to register this in the system, but you'd go ahead and select your tactical call. You'll put it in there. You'll give it a password. And then once you do that, then I would let Chris know and Dan know, hey, hospital 1 is our tactical call. And the password is, XYZ123! Put that on your system. Now, anytime any of us that has the tactical call enabled, because you have to have it enabled here, checks in to the CMS, they will receive that specific message. So when I go off shift, I let Chris know, hey, we've been monitoring this mailbox. If you get mail in, you're responsible for dealing with it because you're on station now. And any of the messages that would be sent to our location would show up in Chris's email, but it would show up as the recipient of whatever your tactical call is. It's not going to show up as Chris's call sign. It'll literally show up that way. And that'll allow you to have a singular location or team, have multiple people receive that message without having to keep changing call signs as you go through. Now, there's advantages. That's a big advantage of being able to just send it to one location. There are disadvantages as well. When I pull a message out of the CMS that was sent to the tactical call, it's on my machine and it doesn't get shared again. It doesn't get pulled down if Chris goes ahead and checks in an hour later, it's on my device. So the disadvantages of using that is it's not all staying up in the CMS. It's downloaded on your machine. But if you're supporting again an event and it's timely, you'll be able to get that quick and easy. So that's it for that. Hope that
one note on tactical addresses. They are 12 characters max.
Mm-hmm.
They are letters only unless you put a hyphen in it. And if you put a hyphen in it, you can use letters and numbers after the hyphen. We ran into that. We were trying to do the ACS call sign, which is N6ACS-EOC. It wouldn't work because there was a number before the hyphen. So we had to do EOC-N6ACS. And now we haven't figured out what we're going to do about fire station numbers, because
I think Dan, they may have updated that, because I know we did a drill with Oliver last week and it was Pasadena 010203 without any hyphens. So we'll check that out and let you guys know.
Okay, interesting.
And if you're in the live audience and you've got a question, put it in the chat for us so we can handle that. I see, John, you've got your hand up, so go ahead and put that in the chat so we can kind of deal with that. I want to talk a little bit about a question that came in from Whiskey 7 Oscar Victor November, and they ask source of snap-on ferrite chokes that fit a budget. Now this is a tricky one because it's kind of got two parts to it. I've used a variety of the different snap-on ferrite chokes that have come from Amazon, and I get very mixed results. Every now and then I'll get a batch of them and they're really good. They work great on the frequencies that I'm operating on. And then there are other times when I've gotten a batch of them and they're doing absolutely nothing. Most of the vendors that you're finding the really cheap snap-on ferrites on Amazon, they're not letting us know what the mix is, what's in the ferrites. So whether it's kind of a gamble each time as to whether or not they're really decent. The place that I've kind of switched over to getting all of my ferrites from, and I think Dan and David also has kind of switched over to this. Let me go over to my screen. I'll go down here into the corner, and maybe David, you can pull you guys down for a minute. See the screen a little clearer. Is a company called Palomar Engineers. Not sponsored in any way. This is just literally where we've been getting these. Palomar Engineers, and if you go right here on the left hand side where it says Ferrite Core Products, you can go ahead and click on that. What I like about this page, there's cookies, go away, is that it tells you a little bit of information about the various different mixes that they offer and the frequency ranges that those mixes are effective for. So if you're doing HF work, maybe a mix 31. If you're doing 2 meter, or if you're in the 25 to 300 megahertz range, you're looking for a mix 43 and so forth. And then you can kind of drill into those. Yes, accept all cookies. Fine, go away. You can drill into those and you can find the various different snap-on ferrites that are available that they offer. And they come in multi-packs, so you can buy them as singles, you can buy them as multi-packs, you can buy as mixed packs as well of different sizes. So it gives you a lot more flexibility to go in here and find just the right ferrites that you're looking for. And I know some of these are quite expensive, 10 ferrite cores for $50. That's quite a bit. And especially when you compare them to the prices that you're finding on Amazon, where sometimes you'll find a 20 pack or a 50 pack for $20 or something like that. That to me is now a total gamble as to what you're actually going to get.
Yeah, if it's $5 a ferrite, if it works,
is not bad.
Yep.
It's if it works is the thing. Yeah. These are known with a little bit better quality. So this is where we've all started buying our ferrite cores and ferrite beads and things from. again, not sponsored. That's just what we're doing. So as far as something that fits the budget, to me, your money is better spent on something like this than taking the gamble with a larger chunk on some of the stuff on Amazon for those. So I hope that helps answer that question for you. Let's go. Let's see. Let's go over to Dan for the next one. Question came in from Kilo November 6, Sierra X-Ray Bravo. And it says, looking for a way to raise my N9 TAX. We have no tree limbs available. Small portable mast, question mark. Dan, what kind of a solution have you come up with for that?
Well, there are obviously lots of ways to do that, but here's what I've done. I just bought a carbon fiber fishing rod from Amazon, and I'll put the link in the chat. This is 7.2 meters, so 24 feet long. And then I bought this spiky thing. What did you say it looked like, Chris? A frog gigger?
Looks like a frog gig.
Anyway, this could go down into the soil, be pressed down in, and then the fishing rod goes into that. But this thing it looks really thin, and it is. When you get out to the upper layers, it's pretty thin. But it's carbon fiber, so it's really strong. And
as long as that, Dan? How many feet?
I'm sorry?
How many feet is that?
24 feet.
24 feet. Oh, okay.
So it's certainly capable of holding up something like an N9 TAX. The rod is $42 right now on Amazon. I don't think I paid that for it, so it either maybe went up, or Amazon's commodity prices may be high right now. But there are others there. You can get bamboo ones for less money that are still pretty strong. But this was one that was highly recommended on a couple of websites I saw. So that's what I do, and works pretty well.
Excellent. For the next question, that this is one that actually came from our class from Wednesday night, or from Thursday night. And we had some confusion over an exercise that we were doing in class where we were sending a 314 message traffic back and forth. And so I want to actually just walk through that demo very, very briefly, so everybody can kind of see how that works. I'm going to do this back and forth with David. So I'll first send the message over to him, so then he can receive it and then show how you respond to it, and we'll show the whole back and forth round trip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with creating a new message. And this is, again, one of those ICS forms. This is a standard message. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click the select template button. It's going to open up my template manager. I'll click the little plus sign next to that. So that's going to open up my standard templates. We'll come down here to where it has the ICS USA forms. Go click on that. And we're going to come down here to the ICS 213. This is the general message. This is kind of, when we look at it, I'll just go ahead and double click it. It looks like kind of just a general standard type of an email message. And this is for sending basic traffic back and forth during an incident, during an event, or something like that. If you have any questions about how to fill out this form, what's useful about it, and so forth, you can click on this little form instructions button here in the upper right, and that'll bring up a little pop-up window that has some additional information for you about this particular form. But I'm going to go ahead and just say incident name. I'm going to call it just the WaveTalkers Live. And 2, I'm going to send this to David G. And I'll put his call sign here so he knows, who this is going to. W0DHG. This is going to be me, Chris M, at my call sign, W6AH. And for a subject, I'm going to send please send pizza.
No pizza for you.
No pizza.
No pizza
for date, I'm going to click here inside of the date field, and it's going to pre-populate that for me. I'll click here inside of the time field, it will populate that for me for the message. I'm just going to say, please. Of course, I'm having trouble with my keyboard here. Please send pizza. Approved by, I will go ahead and approve this myself, and my title, I will just say rate ops for the radio operator, and we're going to say submit. Now we get the normal pop-up here that says, hey, go ahead and we're going to submit this, say okay. We get the blank screen, so I can close my browser window. It populates all the information in here. And notice one of the other things is here when we're sending this form, it's actually sending a little attachment, a little XML attachment. And this is part of the magic of the way this is going to work here. So I'll go ahead and post that to my outbox. Oh, I'm going to specify a recipient. In this ICS form, you're not when you fill out the to field, it's not populating the to field inside of your message itself. So this is where you have to set the call sign of the radio operator who's going to be receiving this message. So now I'm going to put in David's call sign, W0DHG, Delta Hotel Golf. And I'm going to post that to the outbox and open session. And we're just going to send this via Telnet real quick. And hopefully that goes pretty quickly. There we go. All right, so David, if you can bring up your screen and then receive that, so we can see what the message looks like when it comes in, and then what it looks like, how you actually respond to that.
Okay, so I heard Chris sent me a message. I'll open up Telnet WinLink because we want it to go fast today, and I'll do a send and receive. And voila, I got a message. And if I open it up, I received the message. Chris wants a pizza. And you'll see there's a nice little note in here on how to create a reply to this ICS 213. So if you forget how to do it, you can click on this message and it'll give you a little bit of a reminder. And it says, hey, go back to the message. And find the line and double click on it, and it will open up the plain text version. And now click reply on the menu item. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll close this. We'll close this. We'll go ahead and find this, and we'll double click and we'll reply. Look, it's magic. It actually loaded the form, and I'll tell him, all right, type my message, replied to from Dave. I don't have a title in there. And the time, nice for that to fill it in automatically. Then I'll go ahead and say submit. And remember, when you say submit, it's going to take you back here and it's going to open up this message ready to go. I have a little secret attachment. I'm going to add an attachment for Chris. Send him some pizza anyways. But first, I'm going to resize it because it's too big. And remember, if you're going to send a picture, you don't want it to be too big. So you want it to go in there and be less than 120K. And yes, this is less than 120K, but Chris has a small appetite, so I'm only going to send him a 10K pizza. We'll save the changes. We'll say we're finished. We'll post this to the outbox, and I'll do a send and receive. And I'll send it back to Chris.
Great. Thanks a lot.
What you got there? Oop.
Go ahead and
I got that.
Cool. Okay, so I'm here. I'm still waiting. I'm really hungry. Let's see what happens. I'm going to click the start button for my Telnet session. So I'll do a send and receive, and I see David is sending me back my reply to my 213. All right, great. So I'm going to download that checked message. It comes in. All that looks good. All right, let me close this window. And I'm going to scroll all the way up here to the top. And I'm just going to click one time on the message, and magically it opens up my browser and it displays the information for this form. And it says, no pizza for you. This is a coffee bar. Thank you very much for that. And so I got, okay, that's good. That's great. But I'm like, so where's Wait a minute, where's my pizza? Well, I see
Attachment.
that there is a attachment. Let me go ahead and click on the attachment, the little paper clip, and it brings that back up. Okay, that's good.
You got to open the message.
I got to double click on the message to open it up. And now I get access to the view attachments button that's here. And that's tied to the message itself. So if I click view attachments, now I can see that he sent me the XML form, which is what we were just looking at. But it also sent me the pizza.jpg. And if I just select that and give it a double click, the demo gods are with me. There I go. I get my small little 10K pizza, bite size, ready to go. And hopefully there's more coffee coming as well, which I do have here. And we're able to proceed on.
So Bob in the chat asks, what's the scale in sending pictures? The general rule when you want to do an attachment, it'll actually tell you when you go to attach a message, it'll tell you that the whole message needs to be less than 120K. And ideally, you don't want to push up against that because you remember if you're going to send this UHF, VHF, or HF, it's going to take a long time. We're showing this all on Telnet just from a time perspective. So you want to make the pictures as small as you can and still have them usable. Obviously, Chris isn't that hungry, so I sent him a little teeny pizza. But in the situation where I had that picture and the incident commander wanted to see, hey, well, how bad does it really look? Chris, bring that pizza up again.
Oh yeah, hang on.
How bad does it really look? He wants to just see a picture of what's going on there. If he doesn't need a ton of detail in a picture that you're going to send him, that's enough to know that somebody took a piece of pizza, right? Or a building, side of the building's down, or the water's overflowing the river, or fill in the blank of whatever the disaster is. It may not need to be a big, huge picture of the pizza or other thing to be able to illustrate what you're trying to illustrate or represent.
Super helpful. Super helpful. Great. Let's see. Next question on the list. Things that have come in. Kilo Echo 6 Juliet Charlie Alpha asks, please describe what a portable setup would consist of for field operations. That's a very broad, very open question. So we're going to assume you're talking about a WinLink setup, something to be able to pass WinLink traffic. So at its very core, you're going to need your radio. You're going to need some type of a computer that's configured for WinLink that you're able to send your traffic with. You need some kind of interface between your radio and your computer. You're going to need power, and you're going to need an antenna system for that. So beyond that kind of a setup, the world's your oyster as far as what you want to be able to put together for something. So let me walk through what my portable WinLink kit looks like. There's no right or wrong answer to this for what people have. So give me 1 second and go ahead and open this up. We'll switch over to the overhead cam. So this is random little things off to the side there. So this is my portable Go kit that I use all of the time. I'll start at the top. It's a very small bag, and normally this is pretty much all self-contained except for my Microsoft Surface, which is currently being used over here on the other side of my desk for the demos for this. So let me open this up, and we'll kind of walk through some of the key components. Some of these are extras. Some of them are kind of just normal stuff. The first thing that's in here that kind of pops up, this is something that Dan found. It's a pop-up little tent, and I'll kind of hold it up here so you can see it. I think this is for like pets or something like that. And I tend to use this. It comes in real handy for creating just a little bit of shade for my laptop, for my radio. This past last weekend when I was at the Ventura Marathon, it was we were getting a little liquid sunshine that was coming down, and so that little tent helped to keep my station dry and out of the weather. Inside of the top of the kit, This is the an L-Craft antenna that gets me a variety of different HF bands, from 15 to 40 meters with these little guys here. And when you're sending digital WinLink traffic, you really don't need a giant, wonderful antenna, because oftentimes a lot of these are very good signal to noise ratio modes, and so you can send really good traffic with not a lot of difficulty. I've got spare USB cables in here, a little set of earbuds in order to be able to hear if I'm doing voice traffic. I have a variety of different adapters that I keep here in the top. There's also a couple of these coils of wire. These are counterpoises for the main for the antenna system. A little portable GPS if I needed one in here. Various other cables, pens that are always in the kit, ready to go. So all that's super helpful. Let me go into the main compartment. And here I have my ICOM 705. So this gets me VHF, UHF, HF capabilities to be able to send traffic. One of the things that I really like about the 705, I can just plug in the USB cable over here, and I don't need another interface. It's got a built-in sound card, so I can send VARA FM, VARA HF traffic. I can send all different types of traffic with this, including doing voice. Works really well. I keep the AH 705 antenna tuner. There are a bunch of ones out there on the market to be able to use. This thing will tune a chain link fence. It's really well done, and I've been really pleased with it. I was a little skeptical about it at first, but I'm definitely sold on that now. I keep a 12 amp hour Bioenno battery here in the front. That gets me 10 watts out of the 705, so I'm able to operate with that. There are a variety of other cables over here, including the power cables, all the other cables I need to connect up the radio to the tuner. I'll oftentimes have a little HT antenna, which is currently not in the kit because it's attached to one of my other HTs right now. And that gets me pretty much everything I need to be out in the field to operate. And it goes in a really compact size. So this is great for doing anything from a POTA exercise to sending WinLink traffic to anything like that. Probably a little bulky for doing a SOTA because it's a little bit extra heavy. Some of this could be swapped out for smaller, lighter gear at that point. David, Dan, either of you guys want to talk anything about add anything to portable kits that you may have?
I've shown it before, but I use that ammo can for UHF VHF, just an ammo can with a FT8800, a digi-rig, a speaker, and then I just need to add my laptop to it. I've got the Evolve little cheapy 12 volt laptop that I carry with it. I have another kit that I also use the Evolve with that has my Xiegu X6100 for HF, and I have that in a Harbor Freight Pelican knockoff case, and that I can carry my end-fed dipole along with me. So really, anything you've got really for portable, I think your biggest considerations are going to be antenna and what you're going to use to power it to get you enough power in the field.
Excellent. David, anything to add? We're not hearing you. David, we're not hearing you.
And I'd have to say, to add for my portable Go kit, it weighs just over 2,000 pounds, or sorry, 2 tons. And I drive it to work pretty much every day, and there's an interface in there. But my truck has a radio, and there's a signal link in there, and I can plug the laptop into. But I also have another a quote unquote Go kit that's a 5-watt HT and a signal link that I can plug into my laptop where I go. So it really just depends on when you need to use it, where you need to use it, how agile you need to be. If you're in range of a gateway, a handheld will work. It's not what I would recommend. It's not what we recommend to do. Obviously you want a bigger radio that has a little bit of more of a footprint, but if you know where the gateways are, you're going to connect to there, they can be efficient and they can work very well. So it just depends. And I guess the bottom line of what I'm saying is, if you already have a mobile radio in your vehicle and an antenna, you have the antenna, you have the radio, you have the power source. Installing an interface like a Signal Link or RIM or DRA board, depending on what radio is in your vehicle, and having a pigtail there, all you need to do is plug a laptop in when you need to use it, and your vehicle could become your mobile go kit in an emergency.
Thanks, David. Let's take one more question. This one is really good. I'm glad all three of us are up on screen because we can I'm kind of curious what each of your thoughts are on this as well. The question is from November Tango 6 Delta X-ray, and they ask, what are the largest obstacles to implementing WinLink? Very broad, very open question. Curious about your overall thoughts for some of the largest obstacles for implementing WinLink.
How many hours do we have, Chris?
Yeah, right. Right. That's why I was like, we're gonna probably let's just kind of wrap on this one, because this could have a lot of things in here. Any thoughts to get started?
Yeah, I mean,
words, Windows Update.
You go ahead, Dan. Dan's Windows Update. For me, I think initially when I first got started with this, it was really a lack of infrastructure, and we'll have to thank Dan for kind of starting in the San Fernando Valley, being the leader in that. Having a gateway to be able to connect to for UHF, VHF. Obviously, there's HF gateways that we can connect to further out, but having that infrastructure, having a support system so people can teach you how to do that. Thanks, Chris, for providing the platform for that. And then having a willing, again, my use for WinLink is mostly MCOM related, having a willing group of folks that will accept it. I'm still sometimes battling that specific perspective there, but there are a lot of groups out there that are using it. Just, acceptance of people saying, oh, digital is hard and all these interfaces and all the connections and whatever. It's not really that hard. That has been the challenges that we've had so far, here in Southern California, is finding people that are willing to, take an old decrepit laptop and maybe get an interface and a radio that they have and just sticking to it, and maybe taking a class from somebody. But
Dan, thanks, David. That's brilliant. Dan, any thoughts from you on that?
The things I've struggled with most, like I said, kind of jokingly, but not really, is Windows Update. It will bite you. I would say if you had a working system that all of a sudden isn't working, go back and check your sound card settings, because Windows Update likes to reset those. And so that's probably the most common problem I've had. The other struggle I've had, which is maybe just me, but I like to make my own cables, but it drives me nuts because, when you look at a diagram for say a DB9 connector, and they have the pinout in the manual, are you looking at the front or the back of the connector? Is it the male or the female of the connector? Because it's a mirror image in some cases. And I've really struggled in making cables to get that right. And what I've found as a solution to that is you can get on Amazon DB9s and DIN connectors or whatever you want that have screw terminals on them. So you're not soldering up a cable only to find that in your mind you mirror imaged your connections. And so that makes it really easy to plan it out, plug everything in, see if it works. If it works, then you can put a permanent end on your cable. But I've struggled a lot with that. It's kind of a minor thing, but I've spent an awful lot of time trying to solve those problems. But by being able to make your own cables, not only do you save yourself money, but in some cases you're able to make a cable that maybe isn't commercially available.
Yeah, the great point. For me, I think my biggest challenge getting started with WinLink was a mental block in my own head. I had it in my mind that in order to be successful at learning WinLink, I had to start with connecting my radio to my computer and being able to send all my traffic via RF. And it turns out that is the exact wrong way to go about this. As I've kind of gotten really into all of this, which is why a lot of people who are taking the current workshop have been a little bit surprised. Here we are, we're 3 weeks into the workshop, and we haven't gone into the RF stuff. We're going to do that kind of this coming week. And the reason is we've all come to this realization. The biggest obstacle to WinLink is learning how to use WinLink, how to drive this incredibly powerful suite of tools to send traffic back and forth. And it turns out all of that portion of the sending of the traffic, learning how to use the different forms, learning all of the different intricacies of what's the catalog, how does my GPS work with it, all of that can be done just by using Telnet as the protocol to be able to send over the internet. We've all got access to the internet while we're learning all of this. Making that leap then to getting your radio and your computer talking so you can send the traffic and you can leverage that additional portion, that is like just the last little tiny bit of what it really takes in order to be able to really leverage. And so for me, that was my biggest obstacle with this, is I kept feeling like I had to figure out the radio portion first. Well, because I'm a ham and I got to be able to send this via RF. But the reality was, as an MCOM tool, passing the traffic is way more important. It was way easier for me to show up to an event and there's 4 or 5 other operators there. One person has the RF portion figured out. They get that set up. They're exhausted. We can now sub in other operators to operate that station to pass the traffic. It's way more efficient, way more effective as an MCOM tool. So that was my take of that. We're gonna hang around. We're gonna do the after party here in just a few minutes. But before we do, I want to do a quick one more quick check if my Surface would stay. Oh, right, because I don't have the power plugged in.
Chris, while you're doing that, Steve Waterman sent me a direct message saying that his biggest obstacle has been the FCC and antiquated rules that don't provide enough bandwidth and limit so much of what we could do. And I would add to what he said, a lot of what we could do but are precluded from are within the spirit of what the FCC wants to see. They just haven't updated the rules to match the technology.
And despite that, look at how far we've gone.
Yes.
We've come pretty far.
It's a trade-off, right? I mean, yes, we could do faster. Yes, we could do more. And despite all that, we've done a lot.
We've done a lot.
And it's an awesome
and
tool as
do a lot. And it's not just the 3 of us. It's everybody out there that's embracing the tool and using the tool. Look at what Dan has done with the Los Angeles County Fire Department ACS group is amazing. In just a short period of months, they went from almost no operators at all and not using the tool at all to making it a really standard practice across the board. And once they realized the power that it brings, it's just amazing.
It really is. So I know there's lots of other questions. I know there's some questions that have come in about the gateways. We've got questions about, there is one more that I wanted to go into. KJ7, I think this is KJ7 3TX. So apparently there's a mix-up in the call sign there. The question is, why VARA and not RDOP? Really simple, speed. Quite simple. RDOP, if you're passing traffic via HF, RDOP is kind of the packet version on HF. VARA HF is it's a different protocol. Even the just free base license of Vara is way faster for sending traffic. And one of the biggest challenges, and one of the things that Dan was just alluding to with the comment that came in about challenges with the FCC is, even though hams, we have a lot of bandwidth, and that's one of the coolest things about our license is we really have a license to play with a variety of different frequencies, a variety of different technologies to be able to explore and to be able to leverage those. But in the grand scheme of things, in an emergency, that's a very limited amount of bandwidth that we have for the number of people that we may need to support. And so figuring out anything we can do to optimize our sending of traffic back and forth, limit the bandwidth, limit the amount of space that's in different areas of the bands that we're operating with, any of that will help. And when you compare Vara FM or Vara HF specifically to RDOP, it's not even a competition really. Vara is so much faster. That same amount of traffic requires less time on air to be able to pass to another station. And so it really it makes a lot more sense to be able to do that. So we highly encourage you to consider adopting Vara as both on the FM side and on the HF side as a protocol. Vara HF is really on par with the Pactor modems, which are much more expensive. They're used in a lot more kind of higher end. I know a lot of hams don't necessarily have the Pactor modems. They're used more by agencies. They're used by offshore sailors and so forth to get their traffic through. They are absolutely great for being able to pass this traffic. But for the bang for your buck, to go back to some of the other questions that came in today, Vara, it really does hit that sweet spot for being able to pass traffic much more efficiently and effectively. So with that, let me do a quick check of the map to see where the check-ins have come in from today. So David, if you can go ahead and pull you guys down, yep. I'll switch over and move myself down into the corner. I'll do one more quick check of the check-ins. Click the start button here and click it one more time just in case there's another one that's come in. It doesn't look like it. So we'll come over. We're going to click the little globe icon and we're going to look at the WinLink check-ins that have come in. I'm going to display the map and I'm going to come up here and check my filters. On the filters, we're only going to look at the previous 24 hours of check-ins that have come in to my station here. And we'll say save. And clearly there's Terry down in New Zealand, Z01HOG. Thanks a lot for joining. I'll blow this out to full screen and I'll start zooming out on the map and we'll see what other pins emerge. It looks like we've got Delta Uniform 3 Golf Kilo Tango joining us from the Philippines. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us over there. We also have Franz joining us, Oscar Echo 3. Foxtrot Quebec Uniform, and of course Roland, Delta Golf 1 Golf Hotel Radio. Thanks a lot for joining us over there. I'm going to right click and drag. We'll pan over here to North America. We'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit on North America so we can get the pins there all to show up. And looks like we've got a large contingent of folks here on the East Coast. I'm just going to roll over some of these so folks can see that their check-in did come in. I'm not going to call out every single one of these call signs because that's always a lot of fun to hear me kind of fumble with all of my I2 phonetics here to make sure that everybody's there. W3COB, hey, good to see you there. And we'll roll over a few more of these. There's Lloyd down there in South Carolina. Thanks for joining us, Lloyd. This looks like Mr. Waterman joining us, coming in from Shares. Very cool to see your Shares call sign, being able to send traffic in here. And then we'll roll over there so we get that call sign up. Here's John down there in the Houston area. Looks like King down here in central portion of Texas. Station here in Kansas. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us there as well. Colorado, New Mexico, up here in Montana, come up here to the Pacific Northwest a little bit. We've got a station in Idaho, several up here in the Washington area. There's Bill joining us there. We'll have a few more. I'm going to have to zoom into Southern California and the southwestern United States a little bit to see these pins that are coming in here in the Vegas area and up here in Northern California. Quite a few of you coming in up there as well. And we'll zoom in a little tighter to see those coming in the Los Angeles area. I know quite a few of you are there as well, Craig and others. So thank you very much for that. If you find the stuff that we're doing helpful, be sure to go onto our YouTube page and like and subscribe to the content. All of that really does help quite a bit. If you find the stuff that we're doing really helpful, please do consider going on to our WaveTalkers website. On every single page, there's a little icon down in the corner for buy us a coffee, and you're able to help support the infrastructure that it takes to put the show on week after week. And sometimes we even get off to a good start, unlike today where we had all kinds of technical issues, but that is the joys of an actual live show if you're not paying attention to the clock at the last minute to see when things need to go live, and then you suddenly go into a hurry up offense for that. So with that, let me bring the guys back up. We'll do one more quick go around for any closing thoughts. David, any closing thoughts for you today on this supposed to be a easier episode for us, Coffee Bar, that we struggled with our mics, with dumping everybody out of the show and bringing them back in, all the different challenges. Most of this was on me, but there we go. What you got for us today?
Coffee Bar, coffee's good, and we'll do these occasionally, and bring your questions. And I just think it's a great tool. Use it, play with it, practice it. And if you need help, we're here for you.
Thanks. Dan, any closing thoughts for you for today's Coffee Bar?
Not really. Really good questions this time, and they did challenge us a little bit, and that's a good thing. But yeah, no, it's a fun session. I've been in the background looking at the chat, trying to research different things for different folks. And one of the things I'll say is I hate the direct message feature of chat, because then you go to make a comment on something and you end up responding back directly rather than to everyone. I don't like the way that works. But and there were a couple people that sent me messages directly, but they got lost so deep in the stack of chat, I couldn't readily find them. So if I didn't answer your direct question, I apologize.
A quick reminder, and this came in from the workshop, and this for anyone who is here inside of the live Zoom, you can use the chat as a place for you to keep your own notes and do a collective note taking with everyone. So if you find things that are interesting, little insights, you've got a link you want to share, put it inside of the chat. And then at the end of the session, everyone's able to go through and download that chat here inside of the Zoom session. If you open up the chat window, there's the three little dots down there. You're able to click on those, and you're able to download a copy of the chat. So you have actually all of your notes and notes from everyone else, as well as any links that we share throughout.
And you can do that. You can click on the save chat anytime during the session, and it waits till the end of the session, accumulates all of the notes, and saves it for you. So, and even when you log off, it tells you where it saved it.
So anyway, thank you very much, everyone who is joining us on all of the live streams. If you're here inside of the Zoom, hang around. We'll do the after party. And with that, we'll say 7-3 to everyone. We'll see you next week with another topic. So thanks a lot for joining us.